Can you imagine arriving at one of the most glamorous nights in Hollywood, dressed to the nines, cameras flashing, red carpet stretching for what feels like miles, and then being told, firmly, that you are not welcome? That you cannot cross that threshold, that velvet rope that separates stars from everyone else? For most people, that would be humiliating enough. But for Meghan Markle, the 2025 Golden Globe Awards red carpet was supposed to be her stage, her moment of triumph, a return to the spotlight after months of quiet and speculation. Instead, it became a battlefield. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. It all started long before the evening of the awards. Rumors had been swirling for weeks. Insider reports suggested that Meghan, despite not officially being invited, had planned a dramatic entrance. Hollywood whispers hinted at an outfit designed to turn heads, a team of stylists and assistants who had been coordinating down to the last detail, and a plan to make the cameras snap at just the right moment. But what those insiders didn't know, or perhaps didn't predict, was that the security detail at the Golden Globes was operating under strict orders. VIPs, celebrities, industry legends, they were all vetted. Lists had been finalized weeks ago. There would be no exceptions. The tension began to build the moment Meghan's black luxury SUV pulled up outside the Dolby Theater. Paparazzi cameras swiveled instantly, capturing every motion. Assistants rushed to help with her dress, her shoes, her carefully chosen accessories. For Meghan, this was more than a red carpet appearance. It was a statement, a return, a demonstration that she could command attention without the backing of an official invite. And yet, for security, this was precisely the problem. A high-profile figure attempting to enter without clearance could throw the entire event into chaos. The first encounter with security was tense, almost cinematic. Imagine this. Cameras rolling, the red carpet glowing under the lights, and a cluster of guards forming a human wall between Meghan and the entrance. The conversation was brief, but loaded with tension. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, you're not on the list." That simple phrase, almost innocuous, carried the weight of disbelief, frustration, and public spectacle. One can only imagine the flood of emotions behind Meghan's composed exterior: anger, shock, perhaps even a sense of personal betrayal. Meanwhile, the press tent exploded with speculation. Photographers whispered to each other. Reporters frantically typed notes on their laptops. Social media began to stir. By the time Meghan was attempting to negotiate her way forward, the first rumors were already trending on Twitter. Hashtag Golden Globes drama. Hashtag Meghan denied. Hashtag red carpet chaos. In Hollywood, the moment a celebrity encounters friction, the story becomes bigger than the incident itself. Here, in real time, the world was watching as Meghan Markle was being stopped at one of the biggest nights of the year. Why did this happen? And why does it matter so much right now? To understand that, you need to know the context. Meghan Markle has been navigating a complex space between her royal past and her Hollywood ambitions. Every public appearance carries weight. Every interaction is analyzed. Being denied entry, even at an event unrelated to royalty, becomes more than a logistical mishap. It becomes a story about influence, relevance, and public perception. For Meghan, it wasn't just about walking the red carpet. It was about asserting herself, reclaiming a narrative, and showing that she still mattered in an industry that thrives on exclusivity. And yet, the denial of entry wasn't just about rules or protocol. It became a mirror reflecting Hollywood's underlying hierarchies and unspoken power plays. Behind the glitz and glamour, the event organizers had been navigating countless potential pitfalls. Seating arrangements, sponsor visibility, camera angles, and celebrity egos, all meticulously calculated. Allowing an uninvited figure into the limelight could disrupt not just the evening's flow, but also the delicate balance of perception that these events rely on. The Golden Globes, for all its glitter, is a world where appearances are everything, and an unplanned entrance can ripple through the industry like a storm. What's more, the stakes were personal. For Meghan, a woman who has faced intense public scrutiny for years, this wasn't just another night out. Every glance, every camera click, every whispered comment carried with it years of judgment, analysis, and preconception. This moment was loaded with emotional significance. The cameras weren't just capturing her dress or her walk. They were capturing history, drama, and a personal test of composure. How do you maintain grace under such public pressure? How do you react when you are denied, publicly, in front of the world? And yet, there was an added layer of intrigue. Sources hinted that Meghan had expected pushback. Some insiders said she had been preparing for potential resistance, planning her lines, her gestures, the subtle ways she might assert her presence without violating protocol. But security, as strict as it was, had been instructed to enforce the rules without compromise. No amount of preparation could fully predict the tension of that live moment, with thousands of eyes, cameras, and social media feeds converging at once. The audience, whether in Hollywood or around the world, had only seen snippets, flashes, brief mentions, and sensational headlines. But the reality of that night was far more complex. Every step, every pause, every word exchanged with security carried weight. Every onlooker, every member of the press, was processing not just the visual spectacle, but the underlying drama. And that's where the curiosity gap lies. What really happened behind the scenes? How did Meghan react once the initial shock passed? Did she attempt to negotiate? Did she leave immediately? Or did she linger, testing boundaries, defying expectations? Social media, as always, amplified everything. Within minutes, opinions poured in from fans, critics, and casual observers alike. Some were sympathetic. How could anyone deny entry to someone of her stature? Others were critical. Rules are rules, and protocol cannot bend for individual fame. The narrative split almost instantly, highlighting how public perception can swing dramatically based on limited information. And in this split narrative, tension builds. What will the truth reveal? How will the involved parties respond? And there's one more twist that can't be ignored: the timing. The 2025 Golden Globes came at a moment when Meghan Markle's public presence was under scrutiny like never before. With recent media appearances, charity engagements, and Hollywood projects, every move she made was being evaluated not just for glamour, but for influence. Being denied entry wasn't merely embarrassing. It was a potential blow to her carefully curated image. Yet, paradoxically, the very act of being denied also thrust her further into the spotlight. The story became about her response, and her ability to navigate an unexpected public challenge. A live test of poise, strategy, and resilience. By the time she walked away from the initial standoff, the drama was only beginning. Cameras captured every subtle reaction, reporters scrambled for details, and social media lit up with speculation. Behind the velvet ropes, inside the theater, organizers began assessing the ripple effect. How would this incident affect other VIPs? How would the media cover the event in real time? How would fans respond? And most importantly, what would Meghan do next? But here's the thing. What actually happened next would change everything. It wasn't just about being stopped at a security checkpoint. It wasn't just about the flashing cameras or the whispered commentary of Hollywood insiders. It was about a cascade of events that would unfold over hours, impacting not just Meghan Markle, but the Golden Globes, the media, and the public perception of celebrity culture itself. And that's what makes this story impossible to ignore. This isn't simply a red carpet mishap. It's a story of tension, power, emotion, and spectacle, a dramatic intersection of personal ambition, public scrutiny, and institutional control. And as we dive deeper, you'll see exactly how one moment on a red carpet turned into a headline-making spectacle that everyone in Hollywood would be talking about, and one that left Meghan Markle furious, defiant, and determined. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Can you feel the tension in the air before the biggest night in Hollywood? Imagine the red carpet stretching endlessly under dazzling lights, flashes from cameras exploding like fireworks, the scent of expensive perfume and anticipation mingling in the air. The Dolby Theater was alive with energy, every step echoing in a space built for glamour, prestige, and drama. And yet, that night, something felt different. Even before Meghan Markle arrived, there was an undercurrent of electricity, a sense that the ordinary rules of celebrity behavior might collide with something no one expected. The red carpet is never just a walkway. It's a battlefield, a stage, a chessboard of image, perception, and influence. Each celebrity who steps onto that carpet is weighed not just by talent or popularity, but by how they present themselves, who they're seen with, and the narrative they're creating. Directors, producers, agents, and photographers all have stakes in this performance. Cameras are poised to capture not just the outfits, but the reactions, the interactions, the subtle gestures that can be interpreted, misinterpreted, and amplified across every social media platform in seconds. And then there's the list, that sacred, almost mythical list of those deemed worthy of entry. The names etched into it aren't random. They represent a hierarchy that Hollywood carefully maintains. One misstep, one uninvited appearance, and the delicate equilibrium could collapse. Every year, there are whispers about who got in and who didn't. Some are snubbed for politics, others for personal rivalries, and sometimes for reasons that no one outside the inner circle ever understands. This night, for Meghan Markle, the stakes were sky-high because the list she was confronting was more than a piece of paper. It was the invisible wall separating influence from exclusion. The theater's exterior had been prepped meticulously. Red velvet ropes guided guests along the narrow corridors leading to the main entrance. Security personnel stood in rigid formation, their expressions stoic, eyes scanning for even the slightest deviation from protocol. Flashbulbs popped relentlessly, capturing every detail. Designer gowns glinting under lights, tuxedos pressed to perfection, smiles calibrated to perfection. The audience at home might have seen only a glittering parade, but inside, the tension was palpable. Every arrival was scrutinized, every move was strategic, and the appearance of someone like Meghan Markle, unlisted and unplanned, was like a stone tossed into a pond, the ripples spreading instantly and widely. Even before she arrived, staff were whispering. Assistants hustled, adjusting ribbons, polishing shoes, smoothing wrinkles in couture gowns. Publicists clutched clipboards with notes on camera angles and talking points. Producers moved swiftly to ensure their high-profile attendees were positioned exactly where they needed to be for maximum visibility. Every detail mattered, and in Hollywood, matter often means millions of dollars, reputations, and career trajectories. In that environment, any deviation could have consequences far beyond the immediate moment. And then, her car appeared. A sleek, black SUV rolled to a slow stop at the curb. Photographers immediately pivoted, a coordinated movement of cameras like synchronized swimmers responding to an unspoken command. A hush fell, as though the crowd instinctively recognized that this wasn't just another arrival. The air thickened. People instinctively knew that someone who could command this level of attention, whether invited or not, could turn the night upside down. As Meghan Markle stepped out, every detail mattered. The dress, chosen to be elegant yet attention-grabbing, shimmered in the red carpet lights. Every hair strand, every jewel, every heel meticulously arranged to make the perfect impression. But more than that, there was a message being sent: presence, authority, control. Hollywood understands messages like these better than most industries. They read them, interpret them, and react accordingly, sometimes with admiration, sometimes with envy, sometimes with calculated exclusion. The first interaction with security was immediate. Guards had been briefed extensively. This was not a celebrity to be treated lightly, yet protocol could not bend. "Ma'am, you are not on the list." The words, calm yet firm, carried more than just instruction. They carried the weight of authority, of procedure, of decades of precedent. For Meghan, that moment must have felt like a blow, not just a rejection, but a public one, in front of a global audience. And yet, she maintained composure. There was a flash of frustration, perhaps, but the outward persona remained controlled. For the press, this was gold. Reporters scrambled to get the story, live tweeting every second. Cameras pivoted, lenses zoomed in, capturing every subtle exchange, every fleeting expression. The moment became more than an entrance attempt. It became a narrative unfolding in real time. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok exploded almost instantly, hashtags trending within minutes. Hashtag Golden Globes drama, hashtag Meghan denied, hashtag red carpet chaos, and each tag carried with it speculation, judgment, and public fascination. And the audience at home? They were left guessing. Was this a misunderstanding? A deliberate power move by event organizers? Or a miscalculation on Meghan's part? These questions, unanswered in the moment, created a perfect storm of curiosity, gossip, and online debate. Every angle presented a new potential story. Every comment and meme added layers of drama that Hollywood thrives on. Inside the theater, chaos began quietly. Producers and organizers whispered frantically. Who could be seen? Who could be allowed? How could they maintain decorum without alienating talent? In events like this, even a brief moment of tension can have ripple effects across the evening. Seating arrangements, sponsorship obligations, camera positions, all meticulously planned, could be compromised by one uninvited presence. And Meghan Markle, standing just feet away from the main entrance, represented the perfect storm of unpredictability. But what came next would ignite a firestorm, and no one, not the organizers, not the photographers, not Meghan herself, could have predicted the scale of what was about to unfold.